morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Today is April 11th and it's Easter Saturday, and we are here at Alex Schultz's house in his backyard, and we'll be going over some history, his historical background, and your parents, grandparents, and how they came to the United States and how things have happened so far. So just for one formality that my professor wanted is if you are okay to give permission for him to utilize this in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know we talked about your history. Now tell me, just refresh my mind as to how where they started from, what made them come to the U.S., how they went. I remember you telling me they came through Ellis Islands, and kind of narrate their journey from the Ellis Islands on to the West Coast and down to you.
Yes, my grandparents on my mother's side migrated from Germany, Russia, um, and I'm not sure if they came from Germany and went to Russia or they were born in Russia, but they migrated through Ellis Island. I know my grandfather's name is on the wall in Ellis Island, and I'm not sure if my grandmother is, but somebody was in Ellis Island and told me my grandfather's name was there. Um, and their families were already family. They were first cousins, and they moved to Wisconsin, where my grandfather's brothers continued living, and my grandfather and grandmother came to Fresno. And recently, I acquired an old phone book from 1957 with the address of the house. And I went, and the house is gone. They put up a shop there, but a couple of the houses are still there in the neighborhood. But it's in the industrial area of downtown Fresno, very old. Not much of a street, full of potholes, no sidewalk. It's just dilapidated area, but that's basically all I know about my mother's parents.
Okay. And how about your father's side?
You know, the photographs I sent you showed me more than I knew. I did know my great grandmother's name was Abby Potter, and I'm not sure. I sent you her wedding certificate,
Right.
but the man she married wasn't Potter. The county they came from is Potter County, so somewhere down the line, she became a Potter. I assume maybe divorced and remarried, or I don't know. But that Potter County is in Texas, and that's where she was from. I know nothing of my great grandfather, although I assume that's who she was with in the picture I sent you. Um, my grandmother ended up in Compton, California, where uh, my father and my uncle were born, and where I was eventually born.
Right. I thank you for sending me those certificates. I will insert it into the video that you will see in a second. And also moving on in your the movement from Ellis Island, you said they went to Wisconsin, right?
Yes.
Um, Anything about Oklahoma or Okies? I think all those people were called Okies. Somewhere in your paper, I saw Okies, right?
Well, I don't know any history from Oklahoma.
But I think all those people moving westward were called Okies anyway, right?
Well, I think the term Okies came from the Dust Bowl years.
Yes.
Yeah. And that could be about the time they came out. It's highly possible. I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, because I think one was year 1929,
mhm.
um, and the Dust Bowl years were in the 30s.
Yeah.
So that was the movement, I think.
Highly possible.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me what more, um, how your history has helped you become who you are and what America means to you.
Well, my history has gone from being probably very much on the liberal side to very much more on the conservative side. Mostly because when I was young, I didn't support the Vietnam War. Um, I was the only year, I believe I told you, that wasn't required to sign up for the draft.
Right,
Um, and we were always raised, Democrats.
right,
It's only been lately that I've gone more to the conservative side because just certain beliefs. I believe, like my grandparents came through Ellis Island. I believe all immigrants should come in legally and do it the right way. And I know a lot of people are escaping poverty and gangs, and there's a lot of things. My stepdaughter's husband's from El Salvador, and I have utmost sympathy, for what's going on there. But I just believe they should come in legally and do things the right way, and I don't believe we should be supporting people that come here illegally. Um, and I'm certainly not a Trump fan. I would probably almost say I was a Republican, except I can't say that because I won't support Trump. Um, and it's not that I think his policies have been so bad as much as his character.
So, do you think there is a difference between your ancestors that came to the US, their opinion on politics, and yours? Do you think there might be a difference of opinion?
In today's day, no. I think they would be much like some of the Mexican immigrants that I know. They don't support illegal entry. And I for sure wouldn't believe my grandparents would not support it. It was a lot tougher coming over for them back then than even than it is now. So.
Right. So, you did mention going back that they came through the Ellis Island. That's from your mother's side.
Yes.
And then you had mentioned earlier in my last interview that your grandmother was she was working for the county as a matron. Was that your grandmother?
That was my grandmother on my father's side.
On your father's
Yes.
side. Do you know how she ended up there?
I have no idea. Compton was, it was a different time. Compton back then was predominantly white, middle class. It's a real head scratcher how she became a matron in the jail. I have no idea, but.
Right. And she supported you. You told me that when you were younger, bought you a bicycle and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Christmas would have been a tough time growing up without my grandmother, and I don't really remember much at Christmas except my grandmother making sure we got something every year. So.
It was very nice of her, and the picture is also on the video. So, how did you end up in Fresno? When she was in Compton, your grandmother, and I suppose your parents were?
Yes. It's never been told to me, but I'm going to assume my mother had enough of my father's bullshit and cut out. And I don't know how else
Right.
to put it. I know for sure that me and my two brothers are 2 years and 10 months apart, the three of us.
Okay.
So that's a burden on itself, let alone having a spouse that lacks a little character.
Right.
But my youngest brother was born here in Fresno, And what I believe is my mom packed up and left while she was pregnant with my youngest brother, and that's how we came back.
Wow.
And I believe we stayed at my grandparents' house in that dilapidated area near downtown, which I just found out recently. I don't believe I told you this, but my mother's cousin, who I see on a consistent basis, told me that his mom and dad moved from Wisconsin into the house with our family, and that would mean my grandmother, my grandfather. They had one, two, three, four kids, and I believe me and my brothers, and this would have probably been before us, but it was my grandparents, their four kids, my cousin's mother and father, and their six kids, all in this two-bedroom house.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
That's a bunch of people.
But that's when times were hard, yeah.
That's why they came, and that's why they stayed there, because my grandfather had a job. My cousins, who's actually my second cousin, my mother's cousin, his parents weren't working at the time, so they stayed there. He said he thought about a year until his dad got established and worked, and they got their own place.
So that brings up another good point where one sole breadwinner in those times could feed two families. Whereas now it's hard for one sole winner to just support one family.
Absolutely,
I mean, how times have changed.
absolutely. You
And-
can't hardly make it with one income anymore,
Right,
and not raise a family for sure.
right. Yeah. So times have changed in that regard. And so how has your standard of living changed from that time to now? And you had some ups and downs. Maybe you want to shed some light briefly on that.
Yeah, my ups and downs. We were always dirt poor growing up, and when I hit my younger teens, we did what we called hustling. You know, when I was a kid, I sold the lunch tickets that the government gave us. I sold mine for 25 cents a piece, just to have a little pocket money, and
Right?
then eventually it led to selling marijuana,
Yeah.
and most of my friends were kind of in the same boat, kind of doing the same thing, and
Right.
it didn't strike me as anything out of the ordinary,
Yeah.
and then I always worked too, but my quality of living didn't change a whole bunch. You know, even when I had a son, you know, I worked a lot of hours and lived day by day.
Right. Which is something that is still happening in the U.S.
Absolutely.
And though this country is said to be one of the richest countries, yet the people, the ordinary people, and the majority of the people are just day by day wage earners. It is the very few on the very top that make it all glossy and seem like what a wonderful and a beautiful country this is, which it is, but uh, while the country does provide opportunity, there's very few that make it to the top, and those are the few that shine to the rest of the world, whereas the others are still in the process of. So, a lot of progress yet to be done in the country, and a lot of history behind this country. So, from where it was, I'm sure we don't want to go back to where it was because of the slavery and because of land taking and how women were at one point not even allowed
Second class citizens.
second class, not voting. And so now I'm sure your wife is very happy that she's voting, that she has a say.
You know, right now with the coronavirus, I mean, we're practicing our social
6
distancing, and you know, the most thing I'm amazed about right now, I lost all my income a month ago. My wife got laid off her job, and we're scratching our heads, wondering you know, our house is paid for. We're doing a lot better than most.